I said it before and I'll say it again.
That scene, that last scene.
What does it mean?
I'm the dude, you know?
Get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot.
That final scene
Starts now.
Hello, we are back. Are we?
Yeah, we're back. I thought Simon had played the wrong outro because it said it's over. Get the fuck
that
out of
always
here.
confuses me.
Yeah.
I often have the same feeling.
And you made that.
I know, but it still seems like an ending. It feels
That's
like
the
an ending.
first time I've noticed that. It feels like an ending, yeah, where he's like, it's over. There is an outro.
Yeah.
There's definitely an outro which has The Office on
Nobody's
it. Which is
ever
like,
made it to the outro. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's never happened.
They've never heard the Did You Like It? Did You Like That? The Michael Scott one. That's in there.
Well, I shall tell you. Well, I already told you, but we are at the 1% of Spotify of 152 people Spotify Wrapped this year.
They're only listening to our podcast.
Not necessarily. We are in their 1% of podcast listening. So
Thank you to the
thank
152.
you. And even if we are the only podcast that they're listening to, the fact that they have Spotify just for us, kind of, it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
So thank you.
My rap was really high because I listened to podcasts to fall asleep. My phone is just like constantly like Spotify's just
Well, it just plays through the night on more
I
and
have
more.
it. I've set the timer on it, so it'll either go off at like end of episode or like after an hour. But like that's pretty much like I listen to podcasts throughout the day when I'm working, and then it'll just turn itself off eventually. But
Do you not forget sometimes at work that you're not supposed to, like in bed, and then you just fall asleep at work because you think you're in bed?
no, I've never had that. But I am starting to notice that I'm falling asleep in places more, which
Okay.
I almost fell asleep before seeing Napoleon. And to be honest, I should have fallen asleep during Napoleon because that film is so fucking long.
I want you to get to it because
Wait, we haven't talked about Napoleon yet, have we?
No,
Have you seen it?
I haven't. And
Did you see it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, nice. I didn't know you were going to
yeah.
go see
Are we
it.
going to have a Napoleon discussion, or is that for another time?
Let's do it quickly because
have a quick chat, yeah.
people have thoughts.
Okay, here's
Yeah.
mine. 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I would say 5 purely for Vanessa Kirby's Josephine. I thought she was quite good.
Yes, agreed.
It's really weird. I'm kind of I don't know about you, and maybe this is a really wanky opinion, but I'm getting kind of like movies, historical dramas where everyone sounds like they're from a different country. And I'm like, it's a film about a French emperor, Napoleon, one of the most famous men of all time. All the English people sound English. The one Swiss guy who's played by fucking Miles Jupp, which is crazy, sounds Swiss. The Russian sounds Russian, but Joaquin Phoenix sounds American. Vanessa Kirby sounds English. There's lots, even the one French guy who's in it, who's from that TV show The Serpent, even he has like a weird mishmash of an accent.
And then Napoleon himself is a massive mumble fest.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
the dialogue's really sort of grainy and gritty.
Yeah.
You have to really like lean forward to
He
get it.
really grumbles through quite a lot of it. I mean, I think I didn't really like Joaquin Phoenix's performance in the film until about halfway through, when he started getting into the really stroppy stuff that comes from history of him being like a petulant child. It was quite good, and that was quite good towards the end. But like, at no point did the film ever make me think, I know there's loads of battle scenes in it. It never makes him seem like a competent general. You just see him like overseeing these incredible victories, but at no point do you go, I would believe that guy would would think of all these things, because he just like, as you say, like maybe it's because he mumbles so much.
He reminded me of Lord Melchett in Blackadder, always behind the front line with a booze cabinet, kind of taking action on a whim, but not really, you don't really imagine there's any strategy behind it.
Yeah, but what's worse than that is then they have Wellington, played by Rupert Everett, who is basically doing a Lord Melchett impersonation. That's what it feels like. He looks and sounds like Stephen Fry does as Wellington in the 3rd series of Blackadder.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing I can probably say about it. Like, it's just really
The
not
one good
great.
thing I'd say about this, I don't really know much about the history of Napoleon, because I
Yeah.
never really studied it at school or anything. So I was happy to get a bit of I don't know how, I know a lot of the articles I've read about it since have said how historically inaccurate it is.
And apparently the French journalists that have seen it hate it.
But it's weird hearing an American accent that shouts stuff
I
as
know.
a French general.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just have to look at Jared Leto's performance in House of Gucci to understand
haven't
Ridley
seen
Scott's
it, yeah.
appreciation for accents.
I haven't seen House of Gucci. And
Yeah.
So what is that like?
I need to bring you a clip. I can't even do it. It's so offensive. It's
Yeah.
like Italian but bad.
I mean, is Joaquin doing a voice?
No.
Like, is it his voice?
I think that's his voice. I think he's just mumblier. Like, you know how the best way to describe it, you know how he mumbles in The Master quite a bit? Like, he does this weird thing where he doesn't really open his mouth that much when he talks. Like, if you think of that scene where Philip Seymour Hoffman's asking him about like his past and like having sex with his aunt or whatever it is. And he's mumbling a lot. That's kind of the whole film, really, like, or at least a lot of his performance in it.
My description of it would be, it's so underplayed, it's almost horizontal. Because I was expecting this really high energy battle scenes. You know, I was imagining Joaquin in like Gladiator and stuff.
Yeah.
And actually, it's really underplayed and it's really subtle.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but the trailer looks so dark and muted as well. Is it
It's
like that
very,
throughout?
yeah, cinematography is very grey and like dusky and like murky. Like all of the battle sequences are dark. There's a whole segment in the film where he's marching on Russia and the whole thing is just cold and fog for about half an hour.
You know the film The Revenant? It reminded me a little bit of that.
Similar
feeling.
cinematography, yeah.
Yeah, it feels, I mean, Ridley Scott is getting a lot of criticism recently due to the lack of lighting in his films. Like Last Duel was the same, House of Gucci was the same, whatever. Like Prometheus was like very dark as well. Like anything that he's done in the past, I don't know, 10 years has just been very dark. It's like, does he even have like a lighting person? His films, just weird.
Yeah.
Interesting, we had the same take actually. I wasn't sure if I'd just misinterpreted the whole thing.
No, I think calling it a hollow film is a little bit unfair, but it
Yeah.
is very much a paint by numbers. Considering this is the man who like wrote Gladiator, well maybe not wrote Gladiator, but directed Gladiator and stuff, it's kind of crazy how this can be so poor.
Ben, do you know if he was nominated for a Golden Globe?
I don't think so. I mean,
It just came out.
it's not been nominated for anything big.
I didn't
It's not
see
gotten
it,
any of the
yeah.
big ones now. I mean,
I did see that Phoenix was nominated for Ari Aster's film instead. Bo is
was he?
Afraid.
that's more like a kind of a
Well, comedy is a
comedy movie,
stretch.
is it? Yeah.
More like a horror comedy,
yeah.
surreal film.
Good segue onto our next little talking point of Golden Globe nominations. I'm
Yeah, well, thank
delighted
you.
to see Barbie get the most nominations this year. It's got 9, which is pretty cool, I think.
To no one's surprise.
But I'm really worried that it's gotten 9 and it won't win a single one. Like,
I think it will.
I think
Margot Robbie's gonna win
But
the
you-
comedy / musical
well, she
one.
should, yeah. But Emma Stone's up against it, that one.
Oh,
Poor-
is it? Oh,
yeah.
she. Oh, I would give it to her.
And that film is up against it for best musical
Yeah.
and comedy as well.
Poor Things did much better than expected. I think it got 7 nominations, which is insane for a film that hasn't even gone, like worldwide yet.
Yeah,
To the
Mark
best of my
Ruffalo's
knowledge.
nominated. I think Yorgos Lanthimos is not nominated for best director for a comedy or musical.
Yeah,
And then the film itself is nominated as well.
really glad about that.
So yeah, I think it'll win best song for sure. I mean, I'm Just Ken or the Billie Eilish one are both nominated, so it should win one of those. And looking at the rest of them, I think there's like the usual. There's a Pixar one in there. One of them was written by Lenny Kravitz. I think he's nominated this year. But surely one of them will win it. And I hope Margot Robbie wins it. And I think Ryan Gosling's nominated in Best Supporting Actor as well. He probably won't win it though. I mean, I'd be surprised if he does. But and then the Irish are being really well represented, which is nice. Barry Keoghan is nominated as Best Actor. So is Cillian Murphy and Andrew Scott for All of Us Strangers. I mean, I hope Cillian Murphy wins it. I really hope he wins it.
I think
Slightly worried that he
I think
won't.
Oppenheimer has scored even better reviews with what Americans call the foreign,
the
press
Hollywood
than
foreign
American.
press.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's gonna do. I think he's gonna do pretty well.
I just
sounds pretty
want
good.
him to win it. I think it's Cillian Murphy being nominated is kind of like with like Joaquin Phoenix winning one for Joker, when Leonardo DiCaprio finally won one. Like, I feel like if he wins one, yes, it's because he was amazing in Oppenheimer, but also he has like a really good back catalogue behind him that you'd say of these incredible performances that he's had, and him and Nolan as like collaborators has been really good in the last few years. And I'd love him to get one.
Yeah.
And the guy's nominated for the score as well, Ludwig Göransson, I
Yeah.
think. And the Oppenheimer score is incredible. Like,
I mean, to go back to the best male category in the drama, I wouldn't mind seeing Bradley Cooper win with Maestro. I thought he was
Really?
I thought he was
not
incredible.
DiCaprio though.
No.
No.
I feel like he probably has 1,000 Golden Globes by now. I just feel like Bradley
Yeah, he
Cooper
must
needs
do.
to be appreciated for his acting skills because he was pretty good.
I haven't watched it. It's on Netflix, isn't it, Maestro?
I think it's gonna come
Or
out
it's
in
gonna
a
come out
couple
on
of
Netflix.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth seeing it. I didn't love the film, but I loved him and Carey Mulligan.
Well,
and the
because I
direction.
heard Carey Mulligan was better. It was probably the best thing about it.
She stole the show, but I thought
As she very often
I thought
does.
he was heartbreaking too. It's very much like. Did you like A Star Is Born?
Oh, did I like A Star Is Born? That's a good question. I did. I'm neither here nor there on it. I thought it was okay. I understand why it got the hype that it did, but like, I'm not crazy about Lady Gaga in most movies. I don't know if she's necessarily the best actress in the world, and Bradley Cooper is good in it, but like, he's just playing a drunk. I mean, the highlight of the film is when he pisses himself. That's kind of his standout performance in that film is when he pisses himself.
That's a bit unfair.
But it is hard. No, it is no, that is a bit unfair. That's very unfair. I'm sorry, but it is like it is definitely a heartbreaking film. It's very sad, but I like.
It's not your type of film. Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think that's fair to say. I enjoy films like that. I wasn't as hot on that as everybody else was. I feel like everybody's like, A Star Is Born. It's incredible. It's amazing. And I wasn't, and this isn't even me trying to be like going against the grain. I was just like, yeah, it's good. Like, I get it. Like, I get why people like it, but I'm just like, I just didn't think it was great.
I think this is how Simon feels about Barbie.
Yeah, it was instantly forgettable for me. You know what I saw the other day? I forgot to mention this before. Sing 2 for the first time.
The animated movie?
Yeah. I went to a screening of it in Leicester Square on Sunday, in the 800-seat mega Leicester Square, huge premiere one. And Garth Jennings did an intro and did a whole half an hour presentation at the beginning about the inspiration behind it. He showed some of the animation development, storyboard development. It's really cool.
Nice.
And I'd never seen it, so I really enjoyed it. I've never been to a jukebox film before, which I think is the genre that it is.
That it's all just like it's
just small clips.
It's like, and it's contemporary films, isn't it?
Yeah,
or contemporary music. Yeah. Isn't Bono in that?
Yes. Streets Have No Name is a featured song, but it's not sung by them. It's sung by like Scarlett Johansson.
But like a pig.
Yeah, by Gunther. I think his name is.
Okay.
He's
and
like
is he a pig?
Yeah.
Oh, he's actually
he's one of the best characters in it.
Oh, okay, interesting.
But it's like a story about these friends that want to put on a play together. It's a story about friendship.
Okay.
But with lots of amazing music and
interesting,
very funny little moments in it.
Nice.
So is it better than the first one?
I've not seen it.
Oh, okay. So you went straight for the sequel.
Well, there you go. So you need to go.
Is Sing 2 new or what? Like, I don't even know when it came out.
I think it's maybe a year or two. Like the first one, I feel like came out maybe
it's
4
a
or 5
COVID
years ago.
Was it Timberlake song from Sing 2 or Sing?
Must be Sing 1.
Sing 1, yeah, because it was huge.
Are you thinking of the Trolls one that he did? Can't Stop the Feeling. That was
like
in
the
Trolls.
same movie. Yeah. You read Trolls 2. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, Trolls.
I remember there was a 2 in there.
Yeah, that's Trolls.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's
Trolls. Or is it
Trolling.
Romeo and Juliet? Who knows? It's one of those random animation movies with loads of shit in it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, Simon.
It's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that your highlight?
Well, actually, I had a highlight that's actually quite sad, which is the lead singer of the Pogues died.
Oh, yeah, Shane MacGowan.
Shane MacGowan, Irish guy. And they put his funeral on live streamed on BBC News channel on Friday afternoon. Okay. So it was like a state funeral.
Yeah, it was mad.
And it was crazy. And I learned more about this guy than I've ever known about him in my life. I didn't know he'd been with the same wife since he was 16. And she was almost like, this is something I never expected to be said in a church and streamed on BBC News, that she was basically celebrating his drug consumption. As she said in her speech, in her eulogy, like, oh yeah, Shane used to take up to 200 tabs of acid a day. And other stuff. And this is like on BBC News in the afternoon on Friday in a church. And like the president of Ireland's there and stuff.
Well, yeah, Bono gave a speech, didn't he? And then
Bono's
loads of people sang.
He was not there, I don't think. He was in the Vegas
Johnny Depp was there.
Yeah, and like...
Johnny Depp gave a speech.
Yeah, and... Yeah, there was lots of the...
And then at the end, like, wasn't it like Glenn Hansard and some of the Dubliners and all stood up and they played Fairy Tale of New York. And
and Nick Cave did an amazing emotional performance.
It was amazing because at the end, when they sang Fairy Tale of New York in such a nice way, even though it's a funeral, everyone was up dancing.
Yeah.
Like loads of these people
really
up
cool.
at the front, like dancing around and stuff like that. And I think,
because he's one of those artists that tests the notion of can you separate the art from the artist?
Yeah.
And that's why I find it
so.
quite interesting. And then the only other thing I watched, 2 words, Nakatomi Plaza.
I watched a bit of it the other night as well, yeah. Mr. Takagi won't be joining us for the rest of his life.
That's great.
Alan Rickman has the best one-liners in that line. I will count to 3. There will not be a 4. He's such a good villain. He's absolutely amazing in that.
I have to say I didn't watch it all the way through. I don't need to because I know it so well. But it was on Film 4 or something. So adverts. I was like, this is completely unacceptable.
It was on after Doubtfire.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's right. I saw the end credits of Doubtfire. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
That's a great double bill.
Yeah, a Doubtfire Die Hard double bill. What an evening.
That's a great double bill.
That's a good 80s.
That's a science fiction double feature.
You want to see them stitched together, in a cinema.
What about you? Have you watched anything good, Sophie?
I saw Leave the World Behind. Leave the World Behind? Is that the new Netflix film with Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke?
Yeah.
Sam Esmail's new
Was
film.
it good?
I loved it except the final scene.
Okay.
Have you seen Mr. Robot?
No, I keep having it recommended
I've
to
watched
me.
a few episodes of the first season and I need to go back to it.
It's very much the same. So it's the same director, same creator. So it very much deals with techno-pessimism, hackers, cyber attacks, that sort of thing. But it's really good. I just question the final scene a bit. I feel like it probably, in my head, it probably finished a scene too early. But I love the film throughout. Mahershala Ali's in it, who's just amazing.
Yeah, I saw the cast on it. It's Ethan Hawke, Kevin Bacon, Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, loads of people.
Yeah, Julia Roberts is so good. This film, oh my God, girl, you're back. Yeah, so I enjoyed it. It's very much in the top 10% Netflix tier. Yeah.
I'll add it to my. I've recently started going through my because we were recording this pre-Christmas, obviously. If anybody's listening to this in the future, this was recorded pre-Christmas. I'm going through my list of movies that I want to watch over Christmas, so I'll add that to it.
What? Give us a flavour of the list.
Well, okay, hang on. I'll see if I can get the list. Did I write them down? I think I did.
Don't edit out any embarrassing ones.
No, I won't. So Christmas movie Christmas movie watch list: Avatar: Way of the Water, Killers of the Flower Moon, Reservation Dogs, Last Night in Soho, Invincible Season 2, and some Alan Partridge. I feel like I need to get into Partridge, so I'm going to try and watch some Partridge.
Nice.
So if anybody has any suggestions, I'll add that Netflix one.
Yes.
Is it called Leave the World Behind?
Leave the World Behind. Yeah.
Okay. Adding to the list as we speak.
Well, I can give you a very depressing one that's
Give
important.
it to me. I love it.
It's the Ken Loach film.
It's New Year's Eve.
Which one?
Is it called Old Oak?
Old Oak.
My mum was telling me I have to watch it.
Okay. Well, I'll put Old Oak Ken Loach and then we'll find it.
Let's reconvene on Reservation Dogs because I saw the first episode and I didn't love it. But
Really? I've heard everybody loved it.
I probably think I just need to give it a bit more time, or I just wasn't.
Oh, and the one that I want, the one that I really want to see in cinemas over Christmas is the new Taika Waititi film, Next Girl Wins.
Yeah.
Which looks amazing.
Do you think it's a feel-good Christmas extravaganza?
Yes, that's exactly what I think it's going to be. I can't wait to see it.
I'm so glad Fassbender is back.
He's just brilliant.
I missed him.
One of the best.
I missed him, but I didn't. I didn't like the killer. So
No. Yeah, but I missed
What
him.
can you
I thought
do?
he was the best part in it. So
yeah,
so
yeah. I'm glad he's back. He can go back on Graham Norton and do some break dancing again. He can do the worm. It's quite funny watching him do that.
God, the first class press tour is still very much in my head, rent free.
What's this?
It's a movie.
No!
Oh, I liked it.
No!
Can I say something?
No!
I don't get it.
What don't you get about it?
We are breaking down the South Korean masterpiece from 2019 and from Bong Joon-ho, Parasite. For listeners unaware, it tells the story of the impoverished Kim family in South Korea skimming their way into the lives, jobs, and home of the wealthy Park family. The film made Oscar history as the first non-English language film to ever win Best Picture. So both of you had seen it before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
How did the rewatch feel?
The ending of it still feels as mad as it always does, I think. You get lured into a false sense of security by that film almost. It's an interesting one where there's a couple of points in the film where it's like, I don't know if I should be rooting for them, but I am, but then I amn't. And then they do something that you're like, fuck, that's kind of really fucked up. Like, why would you do that? And yeah, it's an interesting back and forth of whose side am I on in this dilemma of a film.
Yeah, there's definitely no black and white.
No,
with this
not
one.
at all.
You're really struggling.
Yeah, it's really grey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would summarize it by saying the shit kicks down, and that's what the whole film's about. Even down to the way the sewage pumps out in the Kim's flat when it floods.
That's I did think that as you're watching the start of there's symbolism.
Yeah, I mean everything is all very vertical, isn't it? It's always going downstairs, the being locked in the basement, being out of sight, and then literally the hill up to the posh house is a steep hill going up,
I wonder whether this has to do very much with hierarchy, right? From a wealth standpoint. I think this is what
for sure.
Yeah, Bong wants to.
It's a social
show.
class portrayal, isn't it? We can't really understand it from the South Korean perspective. Well, I don't really know much about South Korea, so
I would love to have someone from
Yeah.
South Korea to give us their perspective. Because I was telling Michael, because I was it with him, and I was like, I'm pretty sure we're missing like 20% of the film.
I think that whole the shit flows down thing is prevalent in every society.
For sure.
And you can see why it won an Oscar, because in American society, that is a very, like the class divide, even in the UK now, like, I mean, the class divide is so huge.
Yeah, and it's also the shit kicks down and there's no honor amongst thieves. It wasn't like there was any solidarity between the Kims and their
It's
mates.
everyone for themselves.
Yeah, they were going to fuck each other over. It wasn't like it was like them against the rich Parks family. It was very much like, we'll stab you in the back just to get one over you, just to go slightly up the socioeconomic ladder.
Yeah. The one thing that stood out to me on this rewatch was how funny the film is on the first half. Like I actually thought that it was this is like a dark comedy. Like
Definitely
when you don't know like how, assuming that you haven't watched it before, you're like, this is fun. Like
Yeah,
it's
for
like-
sure. I mean, up to a certain point, it is incredibly funny, and then it just becomes majorly tense. Up until the scene where
they discover the third family.
I don't even think the third family. I think up until the scene where they're all drinking and stuff in the house. As soon as that happened,
Right.
my immediate thought was no. I was like, no, like you just know, like something's going to go wrong. Like classic cinema tells me they're all drinking in the house. they're fucking the place up. Something is going to go wrong. And from then, that's when I started feeling like, okay, it's ramping up. And then the cleaner shows up. And then it's the whole fucking dude in the bait. Like it just like it goes from there. It spirals completely.
Yeah.
And it in such an incredible way. It just goes fucking mad. Like it's such a brilliant twist. I still see, you know, when they talk about like talking about films leaving lasting marks on you. The scene where they're talking about the little boy in his nightmares that he saw the ghost. And you see him eating the cake out of the fridge, and then you see the guy walking up the stairs, and you just see his eyes first. I still am having nightmares about that dude's eyes because they are fucking terrifying. In that completely black doorway, just those two like piercing white eyes is terrifying. If that was me as a child, of course he's fucking petrified. And he can't, like, of course this child is fucked up. That's so scary. Me as an adult watching that, I got scared.
I mean,
So
this
intense.
actor and the entire cast is just
Amazing.
insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
insanely good. Yeah.
It's perfectly cast, the
Yeah.
whole film. It's so
Okay.
good.
So to set the stage for the final scene, Ben, would you like to start with the film scene you brought for us? Because I know it's not from Parasite.
Yeah, so I didn't bring a scene from Parasite, or because I kind of weirdly watching it. As soon as this scene happened, I thought, oh wow, I wondered it, and I'd love to know. I mean, I'd be interested to know if Bong Joon-ho has it in it, you know, has this scene in it because of it. But it's also one of the things that it leads into it. It kind of comes after a scene where it was when they started doing stuff that I was like, okay, hang on, it's getting a little bit more than just talking them in. And it's so obviously we have the scene where they get rid of the old houseworker. And how do they do it?
With the peach allergy.
With the peach allergy and making it look like she has TB. And they start really like telling quite like nefarious and like nasty lies. I mean, lying that the sister's an art therapist. Okay, she's a great artist and she's like helping the child and stuff like that. Fine. The dad's a driver. Okay, I mean, listen, making your man lose his job in the way that they do, leaving the underwear in the car is a bit shady. But then when they start actually like basically poisoning this woman, it's kind of like fucking, okay, this is starting to take a slightly darker turn. What I'm saying about like it gradually ramps up and up and up. And then there's the next scene in the car where he's the dad is driving the other dad. He's picked him up from work and he's driving him home, and he's like,
The new chauffeur, yeah.
Yeah, the new chauffeur. And he's like, we need to get like a new cleaner, blah, 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 blah. The man's like, oh, I know this one. And as he hands him the business card, and it reminded me of this.
Is that a gram?
American Psycho.
New card. What do you think?
My favourite scene of the whole film.
Oh, very nice. Look at that.
Picked them up from the printers yesterday.
Good coloring.
That's bone. And the lettering is something called Cillian Braille.
It's very cool, Bateman, but that's nothing. Look at this. That is really nice. Eggshell with Romalian type.
I could totally
do you
see
think?
Bong Joon-ho being influenced by this very scene.
Jesus. That is really super. How'd a nitwit like you get so tasteful?
I can't believe that Bryce prefers Van Patten's card to mine.
But wait, you ain't seen nothing
that really reminded me of it, because it's also they're starting to do things, and the film itself is becoming like more and more psychotic. And you're also then seeing how, as you say, with the shit coming down, you have the tech billionaire who put so much value in what a business card is. Like, oh yeah, Jesus, this must be a good company. It's like it's got a good business card.
I think this is very, like, in a way, isn't it overly sarcastic? Like,
yeah, for sure.
How superficial the world of capitalism is, and how you can sell.
Well, I mean, that scene in American Psycho in general is, and I think that's what Bong Joon-ho is doing as like a way to kind of lampoon that and pay homage to that, and in the same way try and say a similar thing in that, like, you know, how ridiculous is it that we put some, like a man who's a multi-millionaire or maybe a billionaire, well, he's completely sold on what this company is because they've got a very nice business card. And this then obviously leads us into the kind of chaos that happens in the final scene, because it is getting rid of that older cleaner that leads things to, from when they are all getting drunk in the living room, to then start spiraling and going crazy when she shows back and comes back up and stuff. And I just thought it was, if I could ask Bong Joon-ho a question, I'd be like, is the business card thing a reference to American Psycho? Because it was, as soon as it happened, I wrote that in my phone. I was like, that it just reminded me of that. And then, obviously, as I say, that brings us that one change, that one thing where they do something that, you know, how they get into the family gets increasingly more kind of nefarious, shall we say? And by convincing them that she has TB, like, they could have killed that woman. She has an allergy to peaches. Like, they could have killed her. Like, that's, you know, that's the mad thing. But that's where I thought it was going, you know. Yeah,
that's my comment about there's no honor amongst thieves. Like, they're just willing to absolutely stuff over this perfectly nice lady.
Yeah, exactly.
To get her position.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how all of it is actually more pointed towards American culture rather than like South Korean capitalist culture, if that's the thing.
Yeah.
Because like later, after this scene that you mentioned, Ben, probably like later down the line, you remember when they had the tent out for the son, and I think that dad asked something like, "Oh, is he gonna be safe out there?" And the mom goes, "Oh, we bought it from the US. I'm sure it's fine."
I feel like there's a couple of comments like that about them ordering things from America. Yeah. And then at the end, it's like or even just Western culture, because at the end of the film, a German family move in, and there's a comment about, like, I mean, they're foreigners, they wouldn't even notice these kind of things or something like that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have known why they shouldn't have bought this house.
Yeah, exactly. Simon, what about you? What scene did you bring for us?
So I looked at the scene that was when the Kim family have finally kind of achieved their goal of having access to the house on their own. And they're all sitting on the sofa drinking whiskey. They have a burger or something.
Yeah, they're eating food out of the fridge for sure. Or one of the girl is eating what turns out to be the dog treats.
Yeah, that's
the dogs have the fancy food.
So it's just before everything turns and you hear the doorbell, which is the previous
former
cleaner, who's left something in the basement. And it's a comment that
who's left something in the basement. You're teasing so much, Simon.
And it's this line here.
이 돈이 다 나한테 있었어 뭐. 나는 더 착하지.
This is basically where they're stuffing their faces, drinking the booze, and she basically says, "Hell, if I had this much money, I'd probably be nice too."
Yes.
So it's kind of like, sorry, I can't remember the character that says it. I think it's the mum.
Yeah.
It is the mum.
Yeah. And it's like...
because I think they're talking about like, oh, like they are so nice, aren't they?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, if I had that much fucking money, of course I'd be
it's
nice.
like the self-awareness is staggering. It's like they're literally doing this completely. So it's not like it's survival. This is like trying to better yourself by conning somebody else. This isn't just like surviving.
It is interesting because like the two kids who are the ones who start it all, like the son's the one who starts it and gets the daughter involved, are very much like a quite a naive attitude towards it all. Whereas as soon as the mum and dad get involved, they're very aware of what the situation is.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bit more...
adults have entered the building.
Yeah, the adults are here. We know this is fucked up, but we're going to fucking do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway.
And that makes it a lot darker for me.
Yeah.
Because they're the people who should be teaching the kids, you know, a good way to live. And they're encouraging it and part of it. And probably why the kids thought it was a good idea in the first place, because they'd programmed the kids to be that way anyway.
Yeah.
As part of their upbringing. I don't know. But yeah, I found that quite a telling line for me.
But it does feel like
in the film.
what you see from the film is that the dad is kind of like a wheeler dealer, because like he's talking about in different points about like, oh yeah, and then the restaurant went under, and then I did this, and blah 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 blah. Whereas
They basically feel entitled. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
So fair enough, they live in shit circumstances in a flat that floods with sewage or whatever, and they feel entitled to go to be able to go and fuck over this rich family,
con
basically.
these people, yeah.
And then the film is asking you to make a sort of balance, isn't it? It's saying, you know, is what they're doing fair? You know, are the real parasites this rich family, or are the real parasites this family who are just trying to like not live in a flat full of sewage?
Yeah. Or are the real parasites the other two people in the equation who are the ones who actually do some serious damage?
Yeah, and then it just goes into chaos, and then
well, that's it. I don't know. So I guess Sophie, before we go on to that, do you have it? Like, is there any scene that you want to talk about in particular? Or?
We're gonna jump right to the final scene.
Okay,
cool.
Because it so quickly just descends into chaos that it's almost like
infighting almost between you know, the new family and the old family.
But at like breakneck speed, though, it happens so quickly. Like it just goes like that, and it's insane.
Yeah,
And it's when you don't expect it. Like the favorite thing about this film for me is the pacing of it all. Like the moment you think you're safe, something happens. Something slaps you in the face. Like, okay, that's semi-revolt. Like, and then even the flood that you mentioned, like that came out of nowhere. I didn't expect like for the semi-basement to just flood like that. Just I mean, it tells you what.
I read some article that said that it was supposed to be a comment on climate change as well, and how climate change is affecting the rich people differently to poor people. But I didn't know if that was a bit far-fetched. I mean, for all I knew, that flat floods like that every year and always has done. I didn't know. Don't know about you guys, but I didn't think, that's climate change affecting this less well-off family much more badly.
Yeah, maybe it's in the context of South Korea. Like I know Bong feels very strongly about climate change, which like Snowpiercer was very much like had a lot stronger references on climate change. So but I would say wealth gap first.
Yeah,
but it is true though, because
dread.
climate change does affect the less wealthy more so, because the wealthy live in big, nice, well insulated, expensive houses, and then
on a hill,
yeah, exactly, on the high ground.
Yeah.
Whereas
while you go sleep in a gym. In
the UK, the equivalent is of, well, who do you think climate change affects more? The royal family or the people who sleep in tents in Oxford Circus?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I suppose part of what they're saying is like there's two types of people in this world. When you're down and out, you can choose a life of crime and conning, or you can choose a different path to claw your way out of your shit situation. And this family decided to go down the conning route.
Well, until the end, though.
Yeah, until the end. And the thing is...
It's
almost make the ending more justifiable for the Kim family, because...
And the fantasy ending totally sucked me in. I was like,
so did I, yeah.
Classic fantasy ending.
Okay, so let's...
Wayne's World doing the happy ending.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it. So let's jump to the final scene. I'm going to read through the final... shots quickly. So the film ends with Ki-gu narrating the aftermath. He starts on probation with his mother. His sister, Ki-sung, has died. Their father has long disappeared, and we don't know where he is. And
I think as soon as that monologue started, as soon as they said he disappeared, I knew exactly where he was.
Yeah.
It didn't need to be explained to me. I was like, he's in the basement. It was.
I wasn't as fast as you.
Oh, I was like, he's in the basement.
Well,
it's a cycle.
Yeah,
it's a cycle of poverty.
Yeah, exactly. It is. It is though. That's the thing.
Everything is a sort of a symbol, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Ben has a point, because the wealthy family has been replaced by a German family who's also very wealthy, and also makes a point of you always have the rich people on the top and you always have the poor people in the bottom. Like that's always the
never
cycle.
Between the two shall you travel.
Yeah, exactly. That's the cycle of life. So on the hunt, Kim-gu hikes a mountainside that overlooks a park house where he notices a flicker of light and registers as Morse code. His father is tapping out a message to him. The film ends with Ki-gu writing a reply. As he speaks in voiceover, we see his fantasy take shape. He has a plan. He's going to go to college, he's going to get a job, he's going to make a lot of money. He's going to make so much money that one day he'll be able to buy the house for himself, and all his father will have to do is go up the stairs and walk out in the sun. But sadly, in the very final shot, we realize it's all futile and not true. We return to the half basement where the movie started, descending from the cramped window space down to Kiku writing the letter to his father and ending the movie with "Until then, so long." And it just... So the reason I love the ending is because there is no ambiguity to it. And I have a feeling, and I think we've talked about this a lot of times, how many directors would actually end the film with a fantasy and just be like, yeah, whatever, you do you. Like
Nolan would end the film with a fantasy.
Nolan, yeah. It was like
Christopher Nolan, the film would end the fantasy and then it would just go
but Bong just hits you right in the face with it. Like there is no mistaking for what has just taken place. And it's almost like the film breaks up with us, as in, just deal with it. Like,
I think it'd be an incredibly unsatisfying ending if it ended with him just walking out into the sun.
Yeah, I like that. I like the ending that happened.
I think the movie gets. I think the family get the ending they deserve. To be honest, the one I feel the worst for, that I did feel quite sad that the sister died. Now I thought that was like
that was a bit extreme
because actually
Jessica,
like she's almost the naivest of them all, really.
Mm-hmm. And
I'd like been sucked into it by the whole thing and just kind of okay.
At that point, when it went into the sort of horror territory, I was less attached to the characters because it almost takes you out of the realness the film was building up.
Yeah, it becomes
and
bizarre.
Suddenly it's like, oh, it's like a barbecue, but then there's knifing. It's like all a bit mad.
Is it that, I don't know, unrealistic though, when you think about the violence that takes place, and we're not really privy to that because it's not really documented, but like you would knife someone for nothing. Like I think it's just more realistic than we think. Maybe not.
But also bear in mind, he doesn't knife someone for nothing. They basically murder this guy's wife and leave him in a basement.
Sure.
And then he has to probably give himself a fairly severe concussion by bludgeoning his head against those buttons.
Yeah, I suppose given the conditions, it's quite reasonable.
Yeah, like that's the thing. But that's the kind of question it asks you, right?
Yeah.
Is like, if the Kim's family thing is reasonable, then surely this guy's is reasonable as well.
You'd be up to boiling point with rage.
Yeah.
And you'd be at the end of your tether. What else? You have no other power other than violence. So you just do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear about, like manslaughter all the time for the dumbest reasons ever. Like I heard, that's unrelated, but the other day, someone stabbed his wife because she wouldn't give him the remote. Like it's just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like we can turn violent for like the dumbest reasons because that's who we are. However, because you mentioned an interesting point, what I did read was Bong was actually inspired by an actual incident in 1930s in Paris from the Papin sisters, who were actually lived-in maids in a wealthy family, and they killed their own employers. This has happened.
Or the French Revolution.
The French Revolution, Parasite style.
Yeah.
So, but I feel why you would feel that way. I do want to do more of a deeper dive into his filmography. But
it's more a comment on me not expecting that to happen in the garden. And that's why I was suddenly like, whoa, what's happening? This isn't, I wasn't expecting this. So it's a bit taking me out of my reality.
That's understandable. I have a question for you, Ben. I don't remember if you've watched Snowpiercer, Simon. Have you watched Snowpiercer? Snowpiercer.
No.
I watched it a long time ago.
What is it?
Okay.
It's a really interesting film. It's like it's a Bong Joon-ho film, isn't it? And basically it's set like in the future, and it's basically a new ice age, and a civilization basically all live on these trains. And the further back the train carriages you go, it's basically like going down the rungs of society. So there's the high society towards the front in these fancy, beautiful carriages, and they all wear nice clothes. And then the poorer classes at the back. And it's basically Chris Evans' character is like fighting his way to the front of it to try and because they're basically dying of starvation and cold, basically that far back down the train.
I just wanted to ask because I haven't finished it actually. I fell asleep yesterday, not because it wasn't a great film, but I was just very tired. Memories of Murder, like Bong's probably most famous film other than Parasite. But what can we derive about his worldview based on films like Parasite and Snowpiercer, and specifically their ending? Because I think I've seen directors that have tackled like climate change, but then tried to put some sort of like hopeful and optimistic spin to it. But
I think he's doing. I think he's taking the stance of, and I think it's it's the right stance to take in the face of climate change, and that it's especially with Snowpiercer that it's like this will happen. Sort your fucking shit out. Like, you know, I'm not going to give you like a day after tomorrow of like, don't worry, everybody. Like the ice age will come, but we'll weather the storm. It's like, no, the ice age will come and you'll all die.
Yeah, he's using cinema to project his
anger.
his,
Like it's an
yeah.
anger. Like it's you know, you can tell that he's pissed about it, and it's like trying to make people, you know, some people chain themselves to gates outside oil refineries. Some people throw paint over old paintings.
I think he wants to make you think,
movies.
doesn't he? He wants to make cinema that makes you think about society and how people treat each other.
Yeah.
Well, that sort of leads me to my next question, because there are almost like two camps in cinema, where I think we've probably talked about this in the past, where like you have some people that just want to be almost like spoon-fed what they're consumed, and they want something a bit more didactic and something that's like, oh, I need to offer a solution here, otherwise I haven't done my job. But I feel like Bong just wants to show you the reality that he's experiencing, and almost like for you to reflect that, as opposed to just being almost like what Adam McKay is trying to do sometimes, where it's like, I just want to get to the very bottom of this for you to get it, almost like insulting his audience to an extent.
I think, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think he does that. I think Bong Joon-ho, though, is someone who earns that.
For sure.
Like the ending of Parasite is like the entire story leading up to that, and how the film plays out and how the characters play out. That's deserving of it. I think some directors try and do that, then they're not very good at it. Like I'm not going to throw any directors under the bus, but like there are definitely ones out there that try and give you that bleak ending, and it doesn't feel deserved. It's like, okay, I get it, the world's shitty, but it doesn't really make you think. The rest of the film hasn't asked enough interesting questions for it to be justified enough. Yeah. Whereas Parasite certainly does, especially not so much from a climate change eyes. I understand the point being made about climate change, just because it's very like rainy. It's all about like downpours of rain and how that affects people. But I think Snowpiercer is obviously his like climate change film. This is his societal change film, and his attempt to, you know, point the mirror at society. You know,
there is a very quote from him that I love on that, where he says, "I'm not making a documentary or propaganda here. It's not about telling you how to change the world or how you should act because something is bad, but rather than showing you the terrible explosive weight of reality. That's what I believe is the beauty of cinema." So it's more like showing rather than telling, which I feel like not great directors try to do.
Yeah, it's a good point, because when you try and tell someone, you'll automatically push against it. But if you just show them, as you say, you just kind of put the mirror up it. Okay,
and final question for you two. What do you think is the actual most likely outcome of the story?
Good question. Sorry, do you want to go first?
I think it's literally as we see it. I think it's just
So you think he does that?
So you think he's not gonna make any, like he's not gonna... No, go on, sorry.
What are you going to say?
No, go.
Who?
The son. So the son.
What, the son in the semi-basement at the end?
Yeah. What do you think is actually gonna happen in the future? Like, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make money and like get to his
I reckon he's bloody resourceful.
Okay.
So he's going to be fine.
Nice.
And
okay.
he can go legit and get a job pretty easily, I reckon, considering what he's managed to achieve.
Right.
Or he can con someone else and do get rich quick schemes. I don't know. I think he's going to be absolutely fine. He's a survivor. He's a streetwise street rat. He's going to be all right.
Do you think, however, what has happened to his family has taught him a lesson?
Oh, I don't know. I think there's certainly no signs of like redemption from what we see. So we just don't know whether he's going to choose the right path or not.
Well, his fantasy is very well intentioned.
That is true, but he wants to...
Yeah, but he
worships his dad, doesn't he?
Yeah. We don't see the route that he takes to get there.
Yeah.
There's no telling that he won't do similar things in his way to get to university and get into
And maybe
work.
he just wants to please his dad and be everything his dad wanted him to be, which is not necessarily loaded with high moral...
Yeah.
So you think somehow he's going to con himself into wealth?
Yeah, maybe, yeah. Or he'll certainly be quite wily and quite savvy and be able to wangle quite a good life, I reckon. That's what I think will happen to him.
Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I agree in that he'll be wily and cunning, because I think that's in his character. I think when you say he learned anything, I don't think he'll change his behavior. He'll just learn how to win the next time. I think he'll change his behavior and then he goes, oh, well, this is why we fucked up in the first instance, so we do that again. Like a great con
Like
artist.
good AI.
Yeah, exactly. He'll learn from his mistakes. I don't think learning from his mistakes will make him a better person. I think he still has that in him. But I don't think I am as optimistic as Simon is in thinking that he will get there with all that money. I think he will be wily. I think he'll get by. But I don't think he will ever get to that level. I mean, you hope he will, that he can break through that, as you say, Simon, like, you know, high society, low society, middle class, you know, you'll never cross the paths between them. I'd love to say that he will, but I actually think the message from the film is that unfortunately we live in a society where that still isn't possible. The only way to do that is by, you know, nefarious means and honor, you know, no honor amongst thieves and stuff like that. So I think he will continue on like that. Also, we need to remember that his friend is going to come back from America that he spent the summer in and probably be like, what?
He was like, dude, have you got my rock?
You
kept my rock safe?
Yeah, have you got my rock? No, actually, I buried it in it's fucking at the bottom of a river. That rock that you gave us brought us nothing but trouble. It didn't bring us any money. My sister's dead. My dad's missing. And I've got a bloody big scar on my head.
That's the one thing we haven't talked about is like, we haven't really factored in the fact that this kid has witnessed like this level of violence. Like that's traumatizing. Like that's going to have a huge effect on anybody's life. Yeah. So that's going to also fuck him up.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And also
he also has a record now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course.
He has a criminal record now. Yeah. He also has. let's be honest. Probably massive fucking brain trauma.
Yeah.
He gets like. The guy basically fucking. God. WWE style slams him to the ground and then hits him over the head twice with the fact that he's not dead is mad. Wouldn't surprise me if then there was another ending after that ending and it turned out he's still in a coma for the rest of his life.
I reckon he'll have to get a job back at the pizza place where they were really rude about the pizza folding.
Yeah.
And that was one of the no honor amongst thieves reference points that I had, where it was like, wait, they're just trying to do their job and you're being really rude about their pizza folding.
Yeah.
And then later on they go back and eat there, don't they? And there's lots of tension. So I reckon he's going to get a job at the pizza shop.
And one of the things that he tries to do at the start is to try, because he's like, oh, the pizza people are looking for someone. You're like, you're looking for someone to like come over and work, right? And they're kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want you to do it. Look, you can't even fold boxes. I don't know if I want you working here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And on top of it all, he has to almost cater for his mom. And I think he will feel bad. Like, I don't strike him as he's not a psychopath or anything. I think he will feel bad and almost responsible for his dad's disappearance. So he'll want to look after her as well.
I think he'll also carry a lot of that guilt with him.
So he won't tell the mum?
No, but still, the dad is not there. He's not present.
No, so. But will the mum know? That's what I'm asking. Like,
that's a good question.
Do you think he would keep it a secret from the mum?
Or do you think? Question.
Do you think they would all work together again to get in the house? And
I don't see why would you hide it from your mum?
Yeah, I think if they've
been in it. And
the dad's basically in the basement out of choice, isn't he? He's not locked in there. Like he could escape if he wanted.
Yeah, but he'd be caught by the police or something.
Yeah.
And go to prison for murder.
That's true. So even if he does get out, he's still going to...
Let's not forget, he did murder the other dad.
Yeah.
And the tech billionaire.
So literally his only option is for the son and the mum to raise enough money to buy the house so he can live upstairs. And that's it. He can't leave the house because he'll get arrested.
No, yeah, exactly. It's no life.
It's pretty bad.
Fun times.
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop. What about you, Sophie? What do you think?
No, I agree with you, Ben.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling very optimistic about the whole thing. Yeah. I think he's going to do his best, but he's going to fail because capitalism fails. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I just think, there's just not enough. The situation that they're in, and that is the bleakest thing about the ending, is that I just don't know. I think that's it's a lovely, nice, optimistic way to think about it. But if the film has shown us anything, is that that's incredibly difficult. And that no matter how hard you try, and this brilliant scheme that, let's be honest, is like 50% of the film is working.
Yeah.
Like until if they don't let the former cleaner in, none of that happens. Nothing goes wrong.
Yeah,
if they're just like, no, sorry.
Until the next thing that exposes them happens, like
what?
The son finds something or
but what would the son find?
They get drunk again and they accidentally reveal something or leave something out, or something gets
I
recorded
just
on a
think
camera.
it would never get they could have potentially figured them out. I don't think it could ever get that violent. Like,
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't spiral as much if that doesn't happen. Because obviously, as I said, the friend comes back from college and goes, "Yeah, I know I got you a job there, but why is your sister, mum, and your dad working for them now?" And he'd have to be like, "Well, so I lied and said my sister's an art therapist. We left some underwear in the car, so the dad thinks that the driver is sleeping with someone in the car, so they got rid of him. And then we convinced them that the old lady had tuberculosis, and we got her kicked out as well. How's that sound?" Mm-hmm. Not cool? Okay, well then take your fucking rock back, because the only reason we have money is because we've gone against everything this rock fucking stands for.
Yeah.
Why don't I beat you to death with this rock and then we see how you like it?
Help is on the way,
Yes. Classic.
Okay.
Classic Doubtfire.
Yeah, I enjoyed the watching it again more than I thought I would.
Yeah,
so
me
my
too.
memory of it was quite dark. I was like, am I going to find it a bit of a stretch? But actually, it was really cool.
That's the thing. Like, it was the comedy thing for me that was like, oh, I get the jokes better. I don't know if Capital has hit me harder this past couple of years, where I'm like, I can relate more to what's happening.
It's because I'm doing a mortgage reapplication at the minute. I'm just like,
wait a minute, you guys are doing just fine. You're the bloody house on the hill.
Well, you don't know my
You're
debts.
you're not down in
the apartment in South Acton, yeah.
You're doing fine.
You haven't
You're
seen
the
my
haves, you're not the have-nots.
You haven't seen my dead sheet, Simon.
Yeah, Sophie's actually working as a cleaner in somebody else's house.
Exactly. I'm a lived-in maid in this house.
Yeah, do you know the only reason we're allowed here on a Monday night is because the old lady who actually lives here isn't here on a Monday night.
It's exactly
she's at Bridge. This is all going to get cleaned up now once we go.
Bridge's restaurant in Mrs. Doubtfire.
Exactly. But yeah.
Okay, I think we solved the ending again, unless you have any parting thoughts for Parasite.
Just a fantastic film.
Yeah.
I mean, very deserving of the Oscar, I think. You know, it is crazy that it's the first quote unquote foreign language film, international film as they call it now, to win the Oscar.
I couldn't give one hoot about the Oscars.
Yeah.
So I have no interest in that.
It's positive, I would say, is the platform that it gave to the film.
Yeah,
like that.
Fair enough.
Potential, if that was even with the Oscars, even though I feel like it got a lot of buzz on its own.
I think probably the unplatforming that the Oscars does is probably worse than the platforming that it makes it up for with. So
that's true.
But
That's
a very grim look at reality, but a brilliant film nonetheless.
Yeah.
What about you say?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, as Bong said in an interview, to refer to the ending as a surefire kill. Because...
confidence.
Yeah, he used this Korean phrase that basically... I mean, it doesn't really... I mean, I don't know how to translate it, but it was basically like the shot that you deliver to someone to make sure they're dead. And
the killing blow,
yeah. And that was the ending and what it meant for him. Anyway.
Must be great to make something like that and be like, yeah, I've smashed it.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Well, yeah, because I'd say a lot of filmmakers probably don't get that.
Yeah, exactly.
And also to then get the recognition for it, right? Like he got like
the follow through.
Yeah, like Parasite is not just like probably what he thinks is the best film he's ever made, but like what a lot of people would agree with is one of the best films ever made. You know, as films about social commentary go, it's one that really stands up. You know.
Exactly, yeah.
So if you guys get time, watch Ken Loach, The Old Oak.
Okay.
Which is another social commentary film, but in the UK.
Will do.
Wow. Okay. Will do.
Love
nice.
it.
That's a great
a cheery Christmas watch.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Some wine.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And that's a wrap. So remember that we'll be taking a bit of a break. So we'll be back in time in January. I don't want to be too specific.
We won't leave you too long.
We won't leave you too long.
That was 152 people. Don't you worry. That one podcast you listen to will be back eventually.
He's going to Ireland for 3-4 weeks. Yeah?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, not too long.
And we're looking forward to your, post-Christmas reviews.
Yeah, I can't wait to slate Avatar Way of the Water. It's going to be fantastic. I'm just going to hate watch that fucking film. But I feel the need to watch it. I feel the need to watch it. I know. But I will.
I know.
I'll do it for you guys.
I mean, what's it in parts? That's what I would do if I would ever get
What, like The Irishman? Just break it up into 3 parts?
Break it up into 3 parts.
Maybe, yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to that final scene. Ben is leaving us for a couple of weeks, going to Ireland to give us his post-Christmas reviews.
Can't wait. Avatar Way of the Water. Going to shit on that movie all over the place. Fantastic.
Is that a hate watch?
Yeah, it is a hate watch. And I can't wait to hate watch that film.
Why am I laughing every single time? I really
Yeah.
can't. Like, I think we need to do something around hate watching. By the way, I don't think
Oh,
we have
yes.
fully explored it.
What if
yet.
there's a whole subculture that we just don't even know
I think
about?
so. I think
Oh,
there's
I hope so.
something
There's a
there.
Niche.
There's a Reddit thread somewhere.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of a movie podcast that does hate watching, so you could be onto something there. Okay.
We'll just call it "I fucking hate this," and that'll be the name of the podcast.
Wow.
We'll just hate watch everything.
Well, we'll be back with regular movie talk and all the things. And remember that the very first Desert Island poll will be between In the Loop and The Death of Stalin.
Ooh.
So you know.
Simon
So-
Simon has to prepare his
Sophie
defense.
wants to boot out My Beloved Death of Stalin, but replace it with In the Loop, another Armando Iannucci.
It's Iannucci
banger.
on Iannucci.
Well, some would argue that better Armando.
It's basically
Iannucci.
like, remember Celebrity Deathmatch from the early noughties, but it's Iannucci versus Iannucci. It's going to be good.
Ian Ouchie.
Oh! Ding, 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 ding.
Sorry.
Nice one.
Did you like it? Did you like that?
Okay, guys. Goodbye. Have a great holiday.
That's called being played out.
Well,
Oh, dude, that was so good. That was so smooth. You should have just gone with it. Yeah.
I just wanted to wish everyone a happy, not necessarily Christmas, happy holidays wherever you may be, and just happy New Year and all the things.
Well, I'm going to stop that PC bullshit and say Happy Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone.
Yay! We'll see you in the new year. Bye.
Cool.
Did you like it? Did you like that?
Did I like it? I loved it.
I had no idea you could milk a cat.
I have nipples, Greg. Could you milk me?
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.